See that?
We sure do.
All right. Okay. So a little bit about myself. My name is Craig Chow. I work with a contractor, this fat Cuban guy, Felix Hurtado, basically adopted me 2 years ago. And together we've just been killing it, doing a bunch of ADs together. This little presentation I put together is mainly about the multifamily ADUs we've been doing and our a little walkthrough or a sneak peek into our values as design builders and how we help investors achieve their performance goals. So, this is titled The Scenarios of Duplex ADU Development. So, before we begin, just on a more serious note, these are some references that you guys should probably take a photo of. Tom, are you going to upload this on YouTube? Tom?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, this is gonna get uploaded to YouTube.
Okay, then you guys can just refer back to that video later. So the HCD cell phone, that's a really good resource. Jose Ayala, that's the guy you want to talk to. He is the shot caller from Sacramento. He's here to basically settle the score. He's basically the Johnny B. Goodstick that not a lot of people know about. So if you ever feel the city is unconforming to the state law and you want someone to settle that score, that's your guy, right? But to get that guy to even start looking at your stuff, you really have to nut up. You have to nut up and pay the plan check fee. That could be $2,000-$3,000 sometimes, right? And you have to submit your proposal, regardless of whatever they've told you over the counter or in an email or what some intern emailed you. You can or can't do, right? If you go in and you get rejected, they have to reject you with a correction sheet letter. It's basically they're rejecting you on this basis. And whenever they do that, they're basically making their interpretation of the ADU law for your proposal, and they're making a stance on that interpretation. If you think that stance is incorrect, then you can basically use Jose Ayala to take a look, and he'll basically clear things up for you. Okay, so that's one of the biggest takeaways that I want you guys to take away from this entire presentation is where your rights are as citizens and the extents that you can push the Senate bill for ADUs. Okay.
Yeah, and real quick, Craig. I mean, it does
Yeah.
happen, guys. Craig, how many times have you seen it to where they are stepping their bounds on the California law? How many times?
Many times.
Yeah. So just
Yeah.
know that when you go down to the city, I mean, a lot of times they don't even know, right? Because unfortunately, there's no consequence for these cities, right? To be wrong, there's just not. So yeah, definitely. This is why we do these things, these presentations, to educate you guys and make sure that you guys know, your options and things that you can push on, right?
Correct. Your options. That's the most important thing, to know what's possible and to like see the money behind what's possible. So when you look at a piece of land, when you're closing we have real estate agents in the room, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So yeah, predatory, by the way. Just kidding.
Yeah.
um, just in these interest rate environments. But anyways, like how I look at a piece of land as an architect or whatever, working with developers, I want to bring that same lens to anybody working in the real estate industry as a whole. So the qualifications for a duplex ADU in the eyes of the state is not even its zoning. Okay, it's all about the pre-existing condition to have an attached duplex. Okay, that's at least in the eyes of the state, attached duplex, meaning in any scenario, you can be an A1 zone land, agricultural 1, LA County. Okay, you can be R1, but you were basically down zoned from a pre-existing multifamily zone, right? As long as the duplex that was pre-existing is attached, in any scenario, the state is going to back you on a duplex ADU development. Now, the cities can be more progressive. They can allow you to do that if the existing ADU, or I mean, the existing single family residents are detached from each other, but on the same lot. But that is not a by right condition as granted by the state provision. So hold up. If not zoning, explain a situation. Well, we have this situation. It's a very recent situation. I was actually just working on it today in Alhambra. So there's 5 structures on this corner lot. You guys can count them out yourself. There's like 4 to 5 units on this property. And this is an R1 zone lot. So this entire property is legal non-conforming. But in the eyes of the state, even, well, in Alhambra in particular, they don't care if they were attached or detached. But furthermore, in the eyes of the state, because by the street side, there's basically a triplex and they're all attached. So this lot can build 2 more detached ADUs on the driveway. And you can turn this into a 7-unit property. It's not going to be the cleanest thing, you know, looking a little bit crowded at that point, but the possibility is there. And now we're going to go into ways that you could actually do that development, but I'm going to work us up to that level just to keep.
Hey, Craig, can you do a quick paragraph explanation on R1 versus 4? Just quick paragraph.
R1 versus 4. Well, there's 2 and 3 in between.
Yeah. Sorry. So R1, 2, 4.
R1 is single family house zoning. Basically, on the regular development standards, without ADU, you can only build 1 house, meaning a structure in which utilities go to 1 dwelling. In an R2, typically that means you can build by right under the regular development standard 2 lots. But some cities do it differently as you go to R2, 3, 4. This is a little more advanced, but they'll chop it up as density per square foot of lot. So they'll give you a formula saying like for every 17 to 1800 square feet of lot, you can introduce 1 unit. And that lot might be 7,500 square feet. So you do the math and then they round down to the whole number. So that's the distinction of R1, R2, R3, R4. The higher the number, basically we're talking from the level of single family house, duplex, triplex to, you know, apartment buildings and townhomes. Good?
Gotcha.
Clear? All right. So I want to talk about El Monte and how they got screwed and what we can learn from them. So earlier from this link right here, the first one, this is basically an example. If you guys want to take the chance to peruse it yourself, this is an example of how the state government puts the Johnny B. Goodstick on the local city. Okay, and so in that link, you'll see what the state is basically making an example of El Monte on to ward off other cities from doing the same. So everything that El Monte got a correction on, you can basically assume, not even assume, you can basically understand is your by right condition in any city you're building an ADU on. Does that make sense, everyone? Don't be shy. Say something. Yeah. Okay.
You can hear you guys, even though this mic's good. So.
Okay. So the architectural style to match is basically more or less killed, right? The requirements that an ADU must look like a single family dwelling, whether or not it is built with a single family dwelling as the primary dwelling on a lot, and that it be integrated into the design of the primary dwelling are subjective and therefore violate state statute. Therefore, the city should remove this phrase from the section. Now, this goes back to June of 2022. So during the days that I was doing other ADUs before then, cities had been fighting the architectural style to match forever. And some cities like LADBS, which is LA, Los Angeles City, they were very progressive. But once you like started going out to like suburbias, out to, you know, Arcadia, Pasadena, they were very NIMBY and they were trying to block everything they can about ADU. But now that's been opened as of the last 10 months. Now it used to also be, oh yeah, go for it.
So Craig, we had to do that on my project in Santa Ana.
Correct.
Do you feel that we could have pushed back on that, even though we just had to do the matching foam shaped trim underneath the plaster around the windows?
Yeah, but you see, like at the time, the trade-off was this, right? We're in the midst of a plan check in which the Johnny B. Goodstick hasn't been laid down on anyone yet, right? So then if we were to have fought, it would have had to mean a lot. And we're just building a 689 square foot ADU, right?
Right.
The idea that you would fight an uphill battle for everyone else and burden that as the Braveheart Mel Gibson warrior for people is kind of suicidal financially, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you would basically just tuck your tail down and say, all right, screw you. I'm like one of the sheep in like the head of the herd. So I'm gonna trample any way I can. But on the next round of ADUs, right, we're going to be a lot more sophisticated. For example, for your project, you know, I wouldn't even want to do a gable roof. I'm going to do a shed roof. I'm going to save one entire side of rafters, right? You know, things like that. Now that we can abuse the non matching style of this clause just from this HCD comment to El Monte, you know, we can apply that in Irvine now. We can do it everywhere.
Oh, wow.
So here's the other thing that sucks. So in the last first 2 years of my experience working with Felix back in August 2020, maybe a little earlier, maybe like beginning of 2020, March or so, you couldn't put the ADU. What was that?
Yo, who's Felix?
Felix Hurtado. He's the CEO of ADU Solutions LA.
Yeah. So Felix is the contractor that he works with. Yeah,
so we weren't allowed to put the front door, the entry door of the ADU facing the public right of view. So there's a lot of scenarios in which you have the detached garage on a side driveway, and it's just at the other end of the driveway, right? Where the garage door could be seen, you wouldn't be able to use that opening for the entry door. You'd have to use a side setback door or something like that, or a rear entry door. That's been killed. There's now no bedroom limit. So if you build 1,000 square feet, you are forced to have 2 bedrooms. But if you opt for more, you can. So now that's pretty crazy to me, because that means within 1,000 square feet, you could make a pretty okay 3-bed, 2-bath. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Roofed areas don't count for lot coverage. That's a kind of a small one, but you know, some fancier cities like Pasadena have been trying to screw people on that for like the last 2 years now. There's some pushback on that. Yeah. Then now here's the funny thing about this last one. The 10-foot separation cannot conflict with a by right 800 square foot ADU. So now this has opened the game up immensely for small lots. So a lot of people were obsessing over purchasing land that was big to fit the ADU and fit bigger ADUs or whatever, right? But actually, I think I found doing like a few small ADUs, like one in the city of Bell, that from the pro forma standpoint to rent, small lots actually have a lot to offer. And with this, basically in the past, you needed to be 10 feet away from the main house, like for the ADU to be built. You can get your 4-foot rear, you can get your 4 feet sides, but they were doing 10 feet from ADU to main house, or like 8 to 6 feet from ADU to another accessory structure. And now this has changed, because if that 10-foot separation blocks your ability to build 800, then the city will have to, if they don't already have an ordinance to legislate that scenario, they're going to have to practically give you 5 so that you can get whatever you need up to 800 by right. So take a look out. If you're a realtor, start looking at the conditions of small lots that people aren't looking at, because the ADU potential in them is still there. So there's a lot of goodies in there. You can just peruse it on your own time. If you find any HCD responses to projects you're trying to work on, like, I would love if you could just send that over to me, because all of these become a compilation of like information, a database of information that sets the standard that's not totally public information, right? So if we know HCD is the Johnny B. Good stick of development standards, interpretation of the law, legal applicability of the ordinances, then we can compile all of that. And we can push the parameters of design. So let's talk about some projects we have done. This is a flip, not a flip. This is a development that Felix did for a client. I did not draw this one. So this is in the city of, I think, Westchester. So we have an existing corner lot duplex, detached garage, and the existing was attached, so we didn't have to fight any uphill battles there. And the existing utility situation was a am I getting too advanced with the utility right now, Tom? Stop me if I am.
No, man. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Hey, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to.
I can slow down. Just
no,
follow.
you're good. Yeah.
All right.
So keep going. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to just raise your hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a relative who has, they have a single family dwelling in Santa Ana, and they tried to get an ADU contractor to build an ADU in the back lot. But when they did like the city contracts, they said that's Midtown specific plan. So like, they didn't proceed with the construction. So
What year was this?
this was last year.
Last year.
Oh, are you asking when it was zoned?
No, so last year they went down to the city and asked them and.
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah.
They came to that ruling.
Yes.
Okay.
But the zoning was done back in like the 90s. Like they had a plan. The city already had a plan.
So this is like up by kind of upper Santa Ana by the Bowers Museum.
yes,
or a little
correct,
bit more
correct.
situate.
Yeah, so like the stretch, like where their dwelling is like, it's a row of single family homes, like the old ones.
Yeah.
But apparently the city has zoned that Midtown specific.
Yeah, well, I do know there's, they are definitely protecting. I actually did a Habitat for Humanity, volunteer day. And, they are very protective of some of the, areas around there. But, that's where all these answers depend, right? Everything's very situational. There are some standards, and that's what Craig's talking about with like the 10-foot setback and, offset from the main house, 4 foot from, sides and the back. But that could very well be the case. But I would definitely, there could be a way around it, right? But so I don't know if you had any other thoughts, Craig.
I didn't actually hear the question. What happened?
So they went down to the city with a contractor, kind of around like older Santa Ana, around like the Bowers Museum. There's some nice older craftsman homes, kind of Victorian homes that they are definitely kind of almost like an historic area. And
Historic preservation.
yeah, they wouldn't let them do an ADU there. So
At all?
no, not at all.
Why didn't you? Then you got to propose it. You got to nut up. You got to propose it. Get rejected. Seriously, no, I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding.
So in my line of work, it's always very good, and that's what Craig said earlier, right? To get things in writing, because when things are in writing and it's an official response, now you can duplicate it, show it, and present it, your case, to whoever you need to, right? And then you can present it to a guy like Craig. Craig can present you a response, provide the response, and eventually kind of come to a resolution wherever that ends up. So
yeah, that situation is common in Pasadena. And when this all started, actually back in 2017, Felix was doing ADUs, right? And you get that kind of pushback from them all the time, that NIMBY pushback. But the thing is, if you just drop it from there and you don't know who to turn to, because you think you're arguing with well, at that time, it wasn't really a state bill. So that's different. But now that it is, they can't get away with that. Of course, they can up the standards for you and be like, you have to design it like this to be coherent with the entire thing, just because there's some special neighborhood standard or whatever, right? But you can't block the entire ADU proposal in and of itself.
Yeah, the reality is there's a state bill that has been designed to create housing, and like Irvine can't really fight it. Neither can the city of Santa Ana in that historic area. They may try, and it may be painful, but there should be a way to do it.
Yep, always. So I'm going to carry on. Okay?
Well, I'm just throwing out Irvine as an example because Irvine is very protective on their standard as well. So, especially on the commercial side, big time. I see it all the time. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure, Craig. I'm sure you've done ADU in Irvine, right?
No, I haven't. I have not done an ADU in Irvine yet. Nope.
Okay. Well, but yeah, but I mean, obviously if you're in like an HOA, that adds a whole nother layer of complication. So it again, it depends. And at the end of the day, it's how many hurdles do you have to get through, right? When it's, Craig, traditionally garages are pretty easy to get through, I'd imagine, right?
Garage conversions, yeah. I mean, I live in an HOA complex in Duarte. I could technically convert my garage. I'd have no parking whatsoever, and that wouldn't be the HOA's problem. And they'd probably charge me a bunch just to connect to utilities and whatnot. But I think that if you make the case, you can get it done. However, financially infeasible that is to do.
Right. Okay. We're going to take one more from Mike and then we'll let you get back to it. What do you got, Mike? So Mike asked, 800 square feet. Is that a max, a min? What is, it's typically you can't be 50% more than the existing structure, correct?
That's if it's attached. They can do that to you. If it's an
Okay.
attached ADU to an existing single family house, they can pull the 50% rule, but they can't pull the 50% rule if you're detached 800.
So let's say
The 800 is by right. You can have a 900 square foot single family house on a 5,000 square foot lot. You can still build, actually, you can build an 850. The 800 by right is protected under the case of the 10-foot separation, but actually the by right is 850. So 800, 850, you do that detached under 4 feet setbacks, you get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So they try to make standard limits. That's kind of one of the ones. You mentioned when you're attached to the existing structure, then they limit you a little bit more. When you're detached and you're truly separated, which is honestly a little bit better on cost.
Yeah.
As well, then it frees you up a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Attached is
all right.
always a headache. Always a headache.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
All
All right,
right,
so the utility situation on this bad boy. We had an existing 200 amp dual on the duplex, and the drop is coming from the back corner of that where the garage is. Okay, drop as in the power pole line and where the electricity line is coming into. I wish I diagrammed this, but I didn't. So we proposed a 400 amp 4-meter panel, and we basically changed the drop line that was on this duplex in that side setback, and we put it on the ADU. Okay. Therefore, we basically turned the existing 200 amp main that was on the house, and we turned those into sub panels. Right. There is a 1 water meter that's basically serving all 4 units. It's thankfully a 1-inch line. Usually, if it's 3/4 inches, 3/4 of an inch, you have to upgrade that, but we did not have to. The homeowner, basically on this one, he covers the water for all of his tenants. Each line has its own shutoff valve, though. And the sewer was connected from the existing lateral, so we did not have to use a Class A. So I want to be very clear to everyone that a new sewer line is not always required. And I might be too bold to say that it's never required. I think actually it is frowned upon if you can make it work connecting to the existing lateral, because the street would prefer that you don't cut the street up. Okay. And then we propose 4 gas meters. So tenants pay their own gas, all separate bills. And here's a little plan of what that looked like. It's basically just a demolition of the garage and pushing 5 feet setback from this duplex ADU, which is one conglomerate structure demised in half with a firewall. That entire thing is 5 feet away from the existing house, 4 feet from the rear, and another 5 feet from the side setback, which also happened to be a public utility easement. Make sense? Moving on.
Gotcha.
So this was a 1 bed, 1 bath. Here's a little layout of that. Basically just mirrored units. Mirrored units. Entry basically as far away from each other as possible. One and done. So here's another one that the same client did. Also Westchester, I believe. Scrapped the garage. Did the same concept in the back. The utility situation was basically the exact same. So the strategy usually is there's always going to be some kind of power pole, usually in the back. Okay. And whenever you're introducing this ADU, it's usually always that the location of the buildable ADU is always between the power pole and that of the home. And so because you need sub panels on the ADU anyway, or electric panels in general anyways, you can opt for those to be mains so that you don't have a giant wire hanging across your entire property and over the roof of the ADU that you're proposing. You're basically going to make that wire drop the shortest possible, which if you go to Tom's house in the next month, May 13, you'll see that electrical situation. We're basically making the drop shorter and then underground all the electrical we need to feed the existing house and turn their old panel into a sub panel, ideally in the same spot.
So
Okay.
Craig, correct
Yeah.
me if I'm wrong. So by
Yeah.
doing that as well, technically, if you upgraded the main panel, I'm calling the existing house that is now the sub panel. If you upgraded that one with arc fault breakers, you would have to wire the whole house to get that third wire ground, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
That's a heavy Felix question right there.
Yeah. No, I took that right from Felix. So that's something to know as well. Some inspectors, construction does evolve and kind of change throughout the process, right? Sometimes it's very frustrating for clients. Felix and Craig can absolutely tell you, but that's kind of like one kind of thing that, foreseeing doing that process. If you were going to upgrade the main panel, calling the existing house, right, and you go to arc fault breakers, well, arc fault means that they trip if there's ever any issue. By doing that, you're completely having to upgrade the whole electrical in the existing house. And that could be something that the inspector could ask of you during mid-construction. And that would be, a whole ball of wax. So just something to look out for if you do that as you're doing your ADUs. So Craig, we got a question in the back.
Yep.
So they're both still individually metered, but let's say on my project, for example, the main home is I think it's 100 or 120, forget the exact size, but my ADU panel is 200 amp. So I've got a much smaller structure with a 200 amp panel. And then, so that way we don't have to, hit up the stucco, get out that, panel, put in a new one, patch it back up with new stucco. We just don't touch it at all. Right. We still separately metered. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we're opting for the 400 amp main, so we can cut 100, 100, 100, 100 per unit.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Craig.
All right, so this is what this one looks like. Not the perfect kind of mirrored unit, but it works. And the utility situation, just like the previous one, was the exact same. So I'll leave it on. And so is it a little easy to see over there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we definitely got it.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's nice. Vaulted ceilings and all that. Beautiful. Okay, so I actually made this presentation a little bit too late because, well, maybe too early. What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? Because I didn't actually know that our client sold this project. So we took this R3 lot. We proposed this triplex. There's a current house on it, 6622 Pine. Look it up. Nosy up there on Google Maps. There's a broke down house over there. We got this proposal approved by fire, and we were going to go in with planning, and the property got sold. But I do want to talk about this project anyways, because the new property owner hit Felix and I up asking us for a price to take it to the finish line. And well, we're still under negotiation for that. But so this is the phase one of the project. Just build a 3-unit, 3-story triplex. Everyone gets their 2-car parking. And this is a small lot. It's a 50 by 140. This is an R3 zone lot. Got your open space, got your trash enclosure, got your required guest parking out in the back. Basically, we're just trying to build the most effective physical manifestation of our next step, right? And I know you guys know what we're going to do. We're going to build this 5-unit property by doing the detached ADU, duplex ADU status, right? We're going to override the guest parking you see there in the back. And we're going to do something like that. So the actual ADU schematic was still to be determined. And how it's basically going to go down is we do the triplex first, then come back with approval. While that's being built, we can actually get the plans approved for the ADU. And then once that's final, you can basically get your job card for the ADU. And this one's on a tighter timeline if the investor wants to guarantee his grandfather of the non-owner occupancy clause. So Tom, do we all know about that? Do you wanna refresh on that? Should I touch upon that, or is that like
Go. Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't know if you guys know the there's kind of a political thing going on. If you're for Gavin Newsom, like power to you. Like some of us are not, but we actually I think we kind of need him to get this grandfather clause extended. And what it is this is what changes the ADU game from being something that investor sharks like Tom can do versus like your everyday mom and pop. And what that is the owner occupancy clause. It's not guaranteed forever. And the way they're cutting that off is if you haven't pulled the permit on your ADU plans before this date on the screen, then you're not guaranteed the grandfather clause in the eyes of the state. Then it's going to be a city free for all. So you bet your ass all those NIMBY cities like San Marino and Pasadena that don't want ADUs in their cities, they're going to stop that for investors immediately. West Covina is definitely on the list. San Gabriel's probably on the list. El Monte's probably on the list. Glendora's probably on the list. Any nice white flight suburbia? You guys feel me? It's on the list.
You're getting last, Craig.
It's on the list. Yeah, I'm trying to make this a little stand-up ADU.
I had you on mute.
Yeah. So, if he doesn't, I think he should stay instead of screwing things up like Biden. That's all I think. He's doing a great job. He gave us ADUs. I've done well for myself. He just stay fucking doing that, Sorry. So here's an even smaller project. It is going up as we speak. Hit that IG, hit me a follow, hit Felix a follow. We are doing a 4-unit quadruplex on this 35-foot wide lot, 160-foot depth, street access, alley access, both ends. 5822 Gage Ave, check it out. Drive by, come see it go up. If you're on the IG, I basically have a bunch of highlights where I just post job cards and progress. You see Tom's stuff go up, our other client stuff go up every day, and we make transparent progress and post the completion of tasks and job card inspection passing. It's all there so you guys can gain some trust in us to take over a project of yours in the future. So we're doing this phase as phase 1. There's a 2-story duplex and the same 2-story duplex, but rotated 180 degrees. And we have a 2-car garage because the required parking was 1 covered space per unit, 1 open space per unit. So these 3 structures, right, are going to be the base footprint for a quadruplex. And so the important thing to know is how we're setting utility up for that future phase development. And by doing that intelligently, that phase 2 portion becomes a lot more economical. So here's what those elevations look like. Just a standard little shed. We're metering everything separately. We're going to prep a 400 amp 3 gang for phase 1, 1 gang for each unit, and a public gang for the common lights, and the garage, basically. And then as we get into phase 2, we're going to basically take out probably the public, or we have to apply for a 600 amp, right? And we're going to give some breaker space for these 2 new units. And I want you to think about exactly how you would do it. Right?
Yeah, Craig.
Knowing everything you've seen, because this is where I'm going to take this presentation to the next level, and you're going to see something really cool. But looking at this, right? If you wanted to make as much money as possible, how would you do it, right? Would you convert that garage? Would you maybe convert and add to that garage? You've got a lot of space back there. You've got alley access. Would you put a skinny ADU, like a little sausage thing? How would you do it? Think about your costs, because I actually have the best solution.
So Craig, real quick. So you definitely ran plumbing to the detached garages as a washer dryer connection, correct?
No, we did not. But we have the cleanouts. We have the cleanouts and the lines to tee off exactly where we need to.
Got it.
Just because we want to keep phase 1 as lean as possible.
Right. So real quick. So you can see he's saying phase 1, knowing the future phase, they need plumbing, They're running a certain amount of power to it so they can have plenty of outlets in the unit, right? They're planning ahead, right? So
Yep.
as far as the city is concerned, hey, we're doing a duplex with a detached garage, right? And it's separated and da da da. But then the future, project is obviously going to convert those. So that's why they got to do it in multiple phases. If you try to do it all at once, it's never going to fly.
Yep.
So
Yep. All right. So
Yeah.
this is a small little, I'm going to call it the 1 to 4, the single family house to quadruplex method. So I didn't do these plans. These are a little old. I did this one. This one's a little old. Single family house. We got the street on the right. Step 1, build a 2-story, really, really compact unit attached to the rear, right? And then as high up as you can go. And then meet the covered parking requirement with a 26-foot backup from the garage and build the biggest garage you can, ideally 5-foot setbacks, rear and side. Okay. Same thing with this one. We have the single family house, build a really skinny sausage tower, max out your 26-foot backup for the cars, build the biggest garage you can under those setbacks. The garage in this case is a 20-foot 8 by 40-foot slab. Okay. And again, these projects are done. I think this is 3417 Ohio. This one is 2917 Liberty. If you want to Google Maps those are in the city of Southgate. So the original proposal was this. As you can see here, I'm trying to use the exterior garage wall and not demolish any of the strong walls that would have existed for that, and only at the most add walls. And then I wanted to do an expansion thereof. When I demise this structure, I wanted to keep all my plumbing like ideally together in towards the front of that garage. So anyways, we designed this and the city fought back. They fought back and I was like, how can they fight back? They're fighting back on this clause of you can't do like a conversion addition over 150 square feet expansion from the original structure. And that's what they were fighting me on. But if they fought me on that, then they would be uncompliant with my buy right to gain my detached 800 per unit, because now I'm a multifamily after phase 1, right? So they're blocking that. And so I was like, okay, you guys can block me, but I'm going to pay for the plan check and you're going to block me. So that's what we did with the client's permission. And he knew my strategy. I said, look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send this proposal. They blocked me over the phone because I sent this to them like casually over the counter. And they said, you can't do this. And I was like, okay. So I take this, right? And I send it over to HCD, to Jose Ayala. And he was nice enough to give me like a preliminary look without seeing that I fully committed into the plan check submission. And I said, can they do that? Can they block me over the clause of 150 square foot expansion, but be uncompliant to my buy right 800? He said, no. Okay. He said, no. He sent me a nice email saying, hey, go resubmit this and not resubmit, go submit this. And then I'll back you on it. So I was going to do that. And the client said, wait, hold on. This is good. So this is now my plan B. I said, what, Paul, what's your plan A? His plan A was to introduce a win-win. And he was going to go in with the soft hand. He basically did the Teddy Roosevelt. You guys know what the Teddy Roosevelt is? It speaks softly, but carry a big stick. So he takes this email like a big stick and he has me do another proposal. That's the soft hand. This is the other proposal. So he said, all right, I want to basically get 2 units. I want them to be yay big. I want to save money and I want to keep the open parking. So at the year end of 2022, I don't know if you guys know, they changed clauses in the ADU to allow more flexible 2-story ADUs. And so as that proposal went towards its end in phase 1, as this building phase was finalized, right? We started to go in with the city and he went in with this. And this is actually what's submitted as we speak. It's already submitted, being reviewed now. They're probably a little bit salty about how I did it. They're probably going to exercise their full right 60 days to sit on it before they approve me nonetheless. But he went in with this and said, look, if you give me this, like I will do it this. I will do it exactly like this. You will not have to write a 150 square foot expansion clause against how you just catch 22'd me, right? So no one needs to be the wiser, but you don't screw me. Does that make sense, guys? It's a little silent.
Yeah.
Being too raunchy.
Yep. I said yep.
We're good. We're good. So it's a big dub for the team. Now, Felix is smart because we had an instinct that we might be able to do something like this. When he built that garage, he used 2x12 ceiling joists. So those are going to be our floor joists for the second unit. Furthermore, this is what it looks like. This is the ground floor. You enter from the right. There's a stairwell to your right to get to the unit above. And it's basically like the same unit up and down, right? And then under the stair, you have the electric water heaters for this year's building code to serve both ADUs. And you have a 2-bed, 1-bath, all inside the footprint of an existing 4-car garage. You're not adding no expansion at all. You're working within the slab you've poured. So the only thing we don't know is probably the extent of underpinning that we might need. But in terms of bidding this out, this is like no different than bidding a conversion and the addition and like another detached 800 square foot ADU. Don't quote me on that unless Felix might want to charge you more money. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, man, throwing out construction numbers. Gotta be careful.
Yeah. I know he's probably gonna string me by the balls after that. So, anyways, the other cool thing about this one is that Felix was very smart, as usual. He's always thinking ahead. He prepped a 400 amp panel with the blessing of SoCal Edison by telling them exactly what we intended to do. So with that clear communication with the field technician and the meter spotter, he got what he got. It's actually the location of that meter is on the toilet wall to the left of the left unit. So behind that shower-ish area or tub area, that's where our 4 amp panel is. Okay. So the utility situation, I just told you that. Damn, there was a whole fucking slide for that. Great. Next. So this is the R1 ADU rec room hack. And you're like, what the fuck does that mean, Kobe Bryant? It means maximizing the physical manifestation of the performer's goals. But what the fuck does that mean, Kobe Bryant? So before I go into what that means, ADU Solutions LA and CTC Development Services, we do not condone nor are aware of any illegal activity any viewer of this presentation may or may not conduct, insert pronoun, with at any point historically, at present, or in the future. Moving on. This is a project that is inside the IG. It's on a highlight. You can check it out. I'm not disclosing the address in this particular presentation unless you follow me, so you're trapped. We are doing a 897-ish, 890-ish square foot ground floor. It's a garage and accessory structure. We got our by right 800 square foot ADU above, and we use the leftover square footage to create an enclosed patio. So this is currently under construction. Little photo over there. You'll see that in the story. Here are the stats. I hope the layout is clear to you guys. How big is the screen that you're displaying on this, Tom?
Yeah, we got like it looks like a 60, I think.
Okay, all right. Well, I want you guys to see the drawing on the left. The garage is on the top. Basically, there's a washer and dryer. That finished drywall level on the other end of the washer and dryer, that interior clear is calculated to be perfect if that was walled across for a legal 2-car garage, right? There is a laundry room that's accessible from the outside on the ground floor. The door to that is basically covered by the stair patio above. And then there's a half bath below. Okay. Now above, you have 2 beds, 2 bath, and you have the stove with gas lines going through from that end. You can see it's kind of hard to tell to catch everyone up to speed with the location of all the utilities, which I did a better job on that. But the gas meter is on the bottom side of the screen and the side setback. And there's a water heater on that corner of that house, of the existing house. So we already have gas lines coming from that rear of that ADU, right? Now with the plumbing and water over there, and and the tankless water heater is hard to see. It's on the bottom left-hand corner of the ground floor next to the rain barrel. Okay. We have the reason to have gas lines all within that vicinity. Okay. We have a toilet on the ground floor. So we have a 3-inch drain we can tap into right there. Okay. We have water lines with a washer and the dryer on the ground floor. And then we have everything we need on the top floor. You guys getting me so far? So that's a project that we're doing, right? And you can see what comes of that. So this is 1,700 square feet of development, right? And you're getting 2 beds, 2.5 bath, and a laundry room off the bat. So I think the guy that's building this, he works with Felix and I. And I think his numbers are close to the high 300s to low 420s so far for this. And I think after he's done doing his chicky chop, he's going to do, maybe 460. And he's going to have, a very nice ADU above and a very livable space below. And he's still going to have a legal 2-car garage.
Okay, Craig. So you said numbers is high 300s, low 400s. What does that mean? We talking cost per square foot? Are we talking the price of the property? What are we looking at?
No, price of the entire build, permits, solar included, everything.
Got it.
I think that's where he's at so far. Correct. So then after he did this, this is in the city of Long Beach, by the way. Did you want to add on to something, Tom?
No, I'm just kind of breaking it down roughly, right? So let's just say for median, you said 1,700 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
At 1,700 times, man, $400 a square foot.
No, whoa, what? No. Let's just say 420,000.
420,000. Sorry, I'm way off on the math.
1,700.
Yeah.
Yep. That's where that's solar. Yeah. That's plans. That's the soft cost. That's permits probably in there. I think he's around 420, but he's going to dish out a bit more to do some extracurricular post-inspection activity. You understand?
Yep.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So when he did that project, we wanted to basically have some kind of iteration in which we could do that again for a different kind of lot typology. And we did have a client in Long Beach again who wanted to do something similar. So we gave him this schematic, and that was what we charged the guy. I think this one is 840 below and 800 above. And then that's a 40 square foot like patio entrance to the second floor. I think Felix and I bid him 398 for this, right? And that was with hookup on the ground floor, convenient hookup on the ground floor, but nothing else, And so this guy got the interest rate jitterbugs, and he decided not to go through with the project. But this is how I would kind of have redone that Long Beach iteration. I would have actually made 2 masters and just called it a day, right? And then I would have, had my gas utility, like ideally very close to each other. My stoves, plural, close to each other. So if we get hit back on this needing to be electric, as in no gas stoves and no tankless water heaters, then I would probably I'd probably do what I did on Liberty here with the 2 electric water heaters under the stair. I would perform some similar design strategy under this stair, and I would serve my units. Yeah, and that's the scoop. Okay. That's the scoop, y'all.
Hey, Greg, Tom went to the restroom real quick, so he should be back in a second.
Sure. Do you guys have any questions in the meantime?
Questions, anyone?
No question. Is solar required on all these ADUs or solar is not you don't have to do solar?
Is solar?
Okay, that's a
you heard
great
it,
question. That is a great question. That is a great question. If it's detached, the answer is yes. If it's attached, the answer is no. If it's a conversion, the answer is no. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, is it like a certain percentage of the conversion that it comes in its way, like where or
I can't hear you, bro.
There, go ahead and start the question over so that way I can translate it.
is it like a certain percentage on the conversion? Like if you convert something, say you did like
A garage.
80% of the conversion, is that gonna require solar or?
So you're talking about converting an existing structure. Do you need to do solar if you convert an existing
Yeah,
structure?
yeah.
So I'll
Yeah.
tell it to you like this. On this particular project, there was an existing garage. The front wall of this garage, where the garage door, let's just say that's the existing garage wall. And so what we did was we demolished the entire garage and we left 2 pieces of wood. And then we told the inspector, hey, come take a look. We're doing a conversion. And he was like, sick, bro. That's funny. So as long as you can make it work with the planner, like, yeah, conversion is conversion. If you're pulling a permit under the consensus of a conversion in any sense, conversion plus addition, conversion of half my 4-car garage, conversion, if that word is in there, no solar.
Got it. What about attached ADU, Craig? Solar?
Attached, I believe, is always no as well. I
Yeah,
believe
that
is
would
always
make
no
sense.
as well. I
That would
think
make
it's
sense to
new
me.
construction, detached. That's where they get you all the time.
So if you up it to the corner.
So if you up it to 400 amp,
What was that?
right? So if you up the power source, let's say your existing is 200 amp and you go to 4, would they make you do solar?
No. But here's the thing. It's naive to think that way in the first place because, so like, we're able to get a 400 amp panel on the basis that we are introducing 4 units. So it's like a slam dunk. The meter spotter is going to work with you to give you that power. But what dictates their ability to do that is the load that neighboring transformers can provide, right? And no one's in the mood to be upgrading transformers just because you want 400 amp panels so you can mine your crypto in your garage, right? So it's like and I went through this personally. My mom has an investment property in Laverne that my boss actually rents, right? We built an ADU there and we wanted to introduce a 400 amp main. Okay. My boss actually just assumed he'd get it. Felix assumed he'd get it and he just slaps it on. And then the spotter came and was like, nah, bro, like you just have this 800 square foot 2-bed, 2-bath ADU and then the 1,700 square foot house. Like, I'm not giving you a 400 amp, like, so you just get it denied. It's not on the basis that they're asking you for solar if you want it or whatever. It's if they'll give it to you in the first place. What dictates solar is just the detached factor for the ADU, really. It has nothing to do with solar. Oh,
All right.
I do want to talk about something else that's not relevant to ADUs, very relevant to new built tract homes. And I think this also triggers if you want to build an attached, if you have to build a legal garage as a response or requirement to introducing a dwelling. Okay, so for example, what do I mean by that? You have let's just say you have an R2 lot with it's 9,000 square feet, okay? And you have some granny shack, 900 square foot piece of shit in the front, right? No garage for some reason, because who knows? It's a legal non-conforming lot. Now a developer buys this lot and says, I want to build another legal unit, like second unit, right? Which he can. But to do so, he has to say introduce at least one covered parking space per unit. So he needs to build a legal 2-car garage on the basis that he's trying to build the second unit and make the entire property conform. I hope I'm not being too confusing, because what I'm trying to say is under the new code, they're actually also going to make you have backup batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're building that garage on the basis that you have to include it because you're building a house. Yeah. That's something I don't know if affects ADUs to that extent, because we're introducing garages on our own free will and are not forced to introduce the garage. Does that make sense, guys? And then I have some, since I'm just hearing some awkward silence, I do have some like one cool project I'm working on. We're not building, but Felix and I also take some solely design jobs. Is that something I'm okay to share, Tom?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Sweet. So this is kind of a burn because the whole address is there, but whatever. It's a 2553 to Noble. I hope the client doesn't get pissed off, but we are building a
Hey,
large.
Craig, if you're sharing your screen, we still see the old presentation.
Oh, sweet. That's good. I actually just said the address out loud, so I just burned myself. Whatever. Where's this?
Okay, now you're not sharing
Here
it.
it is. Yeah. Here it is. Here it is. We good?
Yeah, got it.
All right. So the address is 2553 to Noble. Let's see. Super cool, dude. Super cool, dude. So this is the house in Altadena, and we're building in this footprint. Can you guys see my Google Maps?
No, we still see the ArchiCAD.
What the? Okay.
Yeah, when you got to share by monitor, not by program. So when it asks you to share by monitor, and then anything you show on that monitor that's what's going to reflect.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Just gotta make sure my browser's tab is not on the other monitor.
There you go. So now everything on this monitor we're going to see. Yep, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Google Maps, we're good.
Yep.
All right. So that structure is being introduced in this corner right here, and it looks like this. And floor plan, basically you pull into this 22 by 30 garage. I actually can do a game mode. So come into this garage, and he can park his electric bikes here, cabinet space. So the idea is this is like a man cave garage. You come down 3 steps down. At this point right here, you would get nude and put your clothes in the washer and dryer stack. You would get to this fridge and you would grab a beer and perhaps wash your hands, because I'm Asian like that. The first thing I do when I get home is I wash my hands. And if you need to use the bathroom, go for it. All right. This is going to be our sauna. You open the sliding door and bam, hot tub is ready for you. 85-inch screen TV is like right there. Turn around and you got this pool, Baja shelf, bang. And above, we have we have the ADU with a patio above, and that floor plan looks like this. So you get up the stair. Actually, the guy's mother-in-law, who's really old, she's gonna have like one of those mechanical stair lifts here.
Yep.
So right when she gets dropped off by the kids, you can get into her room, no problem. Big cantina door, dining room, TV, one bed for her, and then she can watch her grandkids swim or whatever. But yeah, this is
the budget friendly model there. I can see.
oh yeah, this is the I need to spend money somehow because I just sold a business. I need to expense something. Yeah.
Nice,
So
I like it.
this one's an LA County one. I mean, these are possible. These things are possible. I got the head nod from the city. So the original proposal was a wider garage, and the hot tub was just smack dab like next to a parking spot. It was just like this. It was inside the garage. And they had no problems with that. They had absolutely no problems with it. So yeah,
Nice, man. I like the
that was a
design.
nice aside from the ADU stuff. That, I've been jabbing.
So one thing that I've gotten from people is like, hey, for your ADU, did you hire an architect? Seeing
Yeah, but I'm not a licensed architect. I'm like some stoner Chinese kid. I look like the guy that sells. I look like the guy that sold you Adderall in finals week in college. You know.
Right. So, but Craig's obviously been there. He's done that, right? He does it every day. He lives, eats, and breathes it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, yeah, you could do some little napkin sketch and do some quick things on a quick CAD program that you downloaded with, you know, like your old student ID or something like that for free. Or, you know, Craig's going to show you a variety of different options, right? So I would say always pay the expert. It doesn't really cost that much when you're going to the right people. And they're going to more than pay for their value, right? So especially on the build side, they're going to design it in a way that it is getting the build costs down, right? That design that we just saw, budget's not an option, okay?
Yeah.
What I do on the commercial side, we always will design and help design, you know, to cater to a budget normally. Craig's doing the same thing on residential, right? So putting the, you know, the wet walls, they call them, you know, together as much as you can definitely helps. There's a lot of different things that help you on cost, and they're going to be very conscious of that. So
Yep, I'm Chinese. I'm very good at counting these pennies.
So all right, so any questions that we got in the audience? Yeah, Craig, go back to your email slide. You're gonna get a lot of different spam emails after this now.
Oh yeah, but guys, for real, I'm spilling the beans on the Jose Ayala contact, but really he doesn't. He was flexible with me, but he really only wants to see your rejection letter, and he only wants to lay down the law once he can lay down the law. He doesn't want to. He's not here to play architect with you. I'm here to play architect with you. I'm here to use him for you, with you. But if you go off on your own, just don't tell him I told you his contact.
Yeah, great. Go to your email. Devin in the back was asking.
My email.
Yeah, this is actually going to get posted to the YouTube, my YouTube, so you can catch it on there.
Awesome.
Any other questions, guys? Don't be afraid. All right, so yeah, Craig threw obviously a bunch of different scenarios at you. You know, the guy is working on, you know, 45 different projects at the moment. You know, probably not too far off actually. But again, we're gonna go walk my project that's gonna be done very soon, next month. We definitely encourage you to be there, come see it. You know, at the end of the day, you're building for 230, 240 a square foot when values are 600, 700, you know, dollars a square foot. You're it really helps you as far as your property value. I'd say lowering your risk as well on your asset because you're adding a whole nother, tenant, a whole nother renter. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to chop up the strategies, but you really got to definitely take advantage of, ADUs in California, right? So just like areas like Texas, where the building code is a little bit more looser, that's what we are doing. That's what California is doing, is loosening the building code. How do you add supply to a, tight market? You loosen the building code, you incentivize through tax incentives or, loans or some kind of way. What are they doing? They're loosening the building code. They've been doing it since 2016. Okay.
So ADUs are limited to a minimum rentals or not?
That it all varies by city.
Oh, short-term rental with ADU?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Most of the
And-
cities don't like that. They're
So
30 days and up.
Mike's coming from Huntington Beach, so they love them. They love ADUs in Huntington Beach.
But do they let them Airbnb those?
No, they don't. They don't like either one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Well, at the end of the day, if you're not in like Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, potentially Irvine. I mean, if you're in Anaheim, you just got to have a permit, right? Because everyone's going to Anaheim for Disneyland. Santa Ana, I don't know anything about it. As soon as we move into our ADU and we move out because we get a new house, I'm gonna put it on Airbnb.
Long Beach is permitted.
Okay. Yeah. Long Beach is really good for Airbnb because they have the convention center. So it's awesome. You get, working people during the week, and then obviously it's got a nightlife. So it all varies, right? Like the answer is always it depends, and you gotta, check into it, look into it for yourself. And don't take the first no. Like that's a big thing too, right? Don't take the first no from like someone at a plan check counter or someone at the city being like, oh yeah, I don't think you can do, don't ever take the first no. Really like dig in and check into it. Because they're not always going to give you the right answer, because a lot of times they don't even know the right answer, and they don't even keep up on when things change. Exactly. Get in writing. Yep. So, all right, Craig, final closing words for the group here.
No, not really. Just don't take no for an answer. Pretty much just what you said, and don't gamble on the stock market like I did. Just kidding.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, be wary of your finances in the coming years. There's a lot of opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even
Wealth
though it's
transfers, right?
that way.
Yeah. In any recession, we see wealth transfers. Wealth is not destroyed nor created; it just gets transferred. So you want to be on the receiving end of that transfer.
Yeah.
So, but cool. Well, appreciate it, Craig. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah.
Craig might have a little improv intro next month since he designed the project. But again, you can see this on my YouTube. This will get posted. And if you have any,
I do want to
Yeah.
say one more thing. Actually, just to shamelessly advertise myself and yourself, good sir. The progress on Tom's ADU is under the Clara ADU highlight in my IG.
Yeah.
So you can see how fast that progression was from all the dates. Not even rigging dates, obviously, but showing the job card per checkpoint.
yeah, they've gone really quick.
And you keep in mind that it's been raining the last 3 months, like hardcore. I totaled my car. So yeah.
Yeah, no, they kicked ass. They did really good. So, but all right. Well, cool, Craig. I appreciate it, man. And thank you, everybody. And we're going to break for networking now.
All right, later.
Cool. Thanks, guys.